Hello, I hope doing great. Thanks so much for watching this week. In this video, we're going to talk about an Arduino Shield designed to teach you about shift registers, I2C, SPI, temperature sensors, real-time clocks, analog to digital converters, and flash memory chips. All of this on one really awesome Arduino Shield. Like any industry or hobby, electronics has its fair share of acronyms. A couple of the more common acronyms that you might have come across are SPI, I2C or I2C, ADC, RTC, and YOMAMA. All these acronyms can be rather intimidating. It's kind of like this giant lion roaring at you or something. And you can spend a lot of time reading about each of these, buying a bunch of different parts, working up breadboards, and this is kind of a great way to learn. It's really the common path that many hobbyists have taken. But if you really just want to grab that lion by the throat, I would like to introduce you to my new favorite Arduino Shield, the Rheingold Heavy Education Shield. It's an education shield designed to teach you about the ins and outs of all these really common electronics concepts and about using the hardware. But it's really not just the shield that makes this an education board. It's really about the thorough documentation and tutorials that accompanies the hardware, and it's all on the Rheingold Heavy website. So really, in my mind, if you're going to learn about electronics, you might as well have a ton of fun doing it. And one great thing about the Rheingold Heavy tutorials is that they are fun. The author, he's got a great sense of humor, and he just keeps things real. He does a great job of demystifying things that on the outside seem really complex. But I would say that my favorite part about the tutorials is how in-depth and how detailed they get in the covering of the topic. So here's a line from one of the introductory tutorials that I think captures the style of this author and the Shield really all together. I don't like just making it work. I want to know why it works and the way it does. So the real magic happens when you've got the Shield and you start working through these tutorials. On the website, the lessons are all designed step by step. So you kind of walk through understanding in detail the hardware on the Shield, programming it with your Arduino, and really understanding the operation on a detailed level. So the Shield itself is jam-packed with components. It's got a shift register and 8 LEDs for learning about shift registers. It's got a real-time clock, a temperature sensor, a 10-bit analog to digital converter, and 8 megabytes of flash RAM. And these are all the things that you learn how to control either with SPI or I2C communication. It's kind of like an electronics learning laboratory all on a single Arduino Shield. Now, if you already have a handle on some of those concepts and you don't think you need the whole shield, you can actually buy breakout boards for each separate component, and all the documentation on the website works equally well for those. So the tutorials on the website are written in a really fun and relaxing tone. They've got tons of diagrams, they've got questions along the way to make sure that you're on track, and it's also got the Arduino code on the website that you can just load right up. Now, I am just a little biased towards this education shield, and that's because I know Dan. He's a really great guy. But after buying the shield and a bunch of the breakout boards and working through the tutorials on the website, I have really learned a ton. But the best part is how much fun it's been. I think one of the things I gauge how I'm learning things by is how often I can have those kind of like aha, eureka, I finally understand something kind of moments. And just working through a couple of the tutorials, I've already had a couple. And so that really to me speaks a lot of the material and the hardware that Dan's put together here. So needless to say, I highly recommend the Shield to anybody who wants to get a solid and detailed grasp of concepts like SPI, I2C, about using real-time clocks, analog to digital converters, temperature sensors, all that kind of stuff. For all of that education packed into one Arduino Shield, you really can't go wrong. Well, hey, that's it for this week. I hope you definitely go out and check the Rheingold Heavy website. Look into some of his tutorials. I think they'll corroborate everything that I've said here. And I look forward to seeing you next week. We're actually going to have an intermission next week where we'll be talking about some of the tools I use for making these tutorials. All right, hey, take it easy, and I'll see you then. Bye.